citizens need to be about keeping these commandments.
This is not what I expected out of them.
The true Bible, the book of our fathers.
Right. The Most High has given us guidance on what we need to do.
It's Officer Eli.
It's Officer Nahshon.
Officer Ezekiel.
I'm telling you, it's not right, because what's going on beneath is that we have struggles, we have issues, and we have challenges, and we hadn't dealt with them. And so as we have been here this length of time, you know, we're finding out that we actually have problems. And when we go through and do some of these issues and stuff like that, it's getting normal where we'll sit there and say, oh, that was just a shooting. It was just a shooting. Somebody killed somebody. That's just normal. You accept it as that's normalcy. And in captivity, that's not normal about that another man kill another man. That's not normal. That's just not normal, Israel. So we're going to get into those things a little later. So let's read the definition of captivity.
Captivity.
Uh-huh.
The condition of being imprisoned or confined.
So here we are in a place of confinement. I'm telling you, you so-called Black, Hispanic, Native Americans, we in a place of confinement. We are in confinement. This is not pleasurable. This is not where we think, you know, we good. You know, the Most High told us that, he said, you know, we're getting the land. He told us to, you know, plant us gardens, marry like the young men did, but don't get attached to this way of life. You know, remember the things that we're supposed to do, and don't go get carried away in these doctrines. And a lot of times we get pulled into these things. There again, I touched on it a while ago. It's nothing wrong with being educated, but when you start adapting and when you start, you know, conforming, you got to watch yourself. You got to watch yourself, because you're starting being seduced to the cares of this world. You really have to watch yourself. So read that definition again.
The condition of being imprisoned or confined.
So you in prison, you know, we'll sit there and say, there's a prison show that came on or something like that. Some guys in there and stuff like that, they was fighting. You know, you don't think that you're confined like that. Yes, you are. You just don't see the bars. You're confined too. You just don't see them. You're restricted too. You just don't know it. So what I want to do, Officer Larkin, if you would, help us out. Get the book. Show us the book, the Babylon, the Timbuktu. So we oftentimes read out of this book. We do. But to add to it is that there's a lot of information in there. And one of the things that Rudolph R. Windsor kind of talks about, he had a couple of words that he used that kind of struck me. So let's go to the page 90 where we was going to read that. So can we bring that up? Page 90, right there.
Page 90, second paragraph. The black Jews had an advantage over the African tribes. They carried their culture, history, laws, and written records with them. This assured them a constant precedent for the development of a higher social organization.
And that's the point I wanted to touch on that Rudolph was talking about. It's important, Israel, that we understand that captivity don't allow you to take on a mindset where you have a higher social organization. Sure, we can talk about it. It's the structure of a family. Sure, we can talk about it. It's those layers that you have on your job. It's those things that we actually have in Israel United in Christ. We actually have layers. We have elders and we have layers and deacons and we have layers and captains. We have, yes, that is going into a higher social organization. That's what that is. But I'm telling you, when you are able to do it when you're able to do it as a nation, when you're able to do it as a people, and nobody's trying to control you or guide you or put stumbling blocks in front of you, you can produce that higher organization. As a people, it's important that we understand that we are people that should be producing a higher social organization. We have to be that. It's important that we understand that we have every right to do that. Here, we're not given that. When you confine in imprisonment or in prison, they're controlling you. You're under control. You don't have that freedom to sit there and be about a higher social organization. We pattern ourselves at some of those things that they give us, but those things only serve them. Meaning that when we go to our jobs or when we sit there and, we do those things for them, it benefits us, because as we read down, it'll show us that we was already doing things like this. This is nothing new for us. So go ahead and read, officer.
Yes, sir. Because of the stability of the black Jewish culture.
And that's what we want to make sure of, though, Israel, that we're bringing forth stability to our people. We have to be that mechanism. We have to be that light that will help guide these spirits back, because they are troubled. There's things, there's layers of trouble that's happening to our people. And like you talked about, Cap, we were just saying that, they say I'm good. And like you said, they really troubled, you know what I mean? And they experience maybe several years of having to learn how to do things on their own at the age of 7. You know what I'm saying? But when he's standing before the camp, he's 27. But he's saying that he's good. But he's actually troubled or had things that he's needing. He's lacking in areas. You know what I mean? He's aggressive. You know what I mean? He's disrespectful. Those things came about because he didn't get what it was, because he didn't able to get a chance to sit there and come forth and understand what it means to be able to, what was that part?
Because of the stability of the black Jewish culture, the Jews were not absorbed into the autochthonous population. In fact, the Jews absorbed.
I don't mean to stop you real quick, but think of today, how we coming back into the truth today and come back keeping God's law. That part right there said the Jews would not absorb into the autochthonous population, meaning like the population today,
right?
All these traditions that they keeping today, we not. So I can see how they wouldn't absorb because we refrain from those things today. So you can see how God's laws benefits you when you're amongst the heathen.
Absolutely. Go ahead, officer.
In fact, the Jews absorbed some of the native tribes. The Jews made use of every opportunity. They were an industrious and skillful people. In the Jewish Ghanaian states were found kings, princes, governors, generals, secretaries, treasurers, revenue agents, judges, architects, engineers, doctors, historians, language interpreters, mathematicians, jewelers, sculptors, masons, carpenters, painters of art, goldsmiths, leather workers, potters, armorers, saddlers, blacksmiths, agriculturalists, etc.
And that just the mere fact that when you're in a place of a high social organization, that you're able to develop the skills that will help you grow, to nurture your family, be able to put things in perspective, how to be able to, as it stated, have that organization among other communities, other people that has skill sets that you have, that you're able to be industrious and supported in your talent and your gifts. But when you're in a position where they put you at the bottom and they ridicule you and they come against you, they make charges against you, and they sit there and put the worst stores, worst food in your communities. They govern it. We're governed by. There again, it talked about we was governed by being in prison and confined. That was the thought.
You know what's heavy about that, Cap, is when you look at all the skill sets that we have as a people. I don't want to say had, because we still got them. Right. But when you look at all the skill sets that we have as a people, and then if you could get Wisdom of Solomon 5:1, and then interestingly enough, they call this Black History Month, right? How many of those skill sets carried over here to where we had inventions that we didn't receive the patents for, because those of our oppressors that ruled over us received the patents, right?
Right.
Read that.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5, verse 1. Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him, and made no account of his labors.
And they make no account of our labors. There's tens of thousands of patents that we don't get credit for. Of the handfuls that we do get credit for, there's so many more that we don't get credit for amongst our oppressors. Right.
You're absolutely right, Cap. Let's do this. Go to the book of James, chapter 4. And the thing that that we want to kind of take you down is kind of get you aware, like, you want to be anti here. You don't want to be, you work and you scribe and, and we're doing those things. We know the works that we're about. We know the preparation that we're putting in. I just, the things that that we can be conducive to this place. And that is the thought that over these next few precepts, we want to take a time out to try to awaken our people and let them be aware that they need not to kind of be geared toward this place. We could see that we have the skill set, like you said, Cap. We already have it. You know what I mean? They hindered us from. We was hindered through a lot. Being restricted, not able to get to some of these things because you couldn't get the student loan. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't get the business loan. You know what I mean? And so we've been dealt a short hand on these things. So a lot of us never actually got to reach our potential because all those potentials are things that makes us leader in our community, that produces that higher social organization is right there in front of us. And so we have those talents and those gifts. So start James chapter 4. 13 and read down, Officer
James chapter 4, verse 13.
Mm-hmm.
Go to now, ye that say, today or tomorrow we will go into such a city, and continue there a year, and buy and sell, and get gain.
Read.
Whereas ye know not what shall be on the morrow. For what is your life? It is even a vapor, that appeareth for a little time, and then vanisheth away.
Verse 15.
For that ye ought to say, if the Lord will, we shall live and do this or that.
And that's the whole point of Israel. We're here to do the Lord's will. And we need to be mindful that we don't get caught up or pulled or extracted and assimilated into what actually that's going in and around us. You have to be aware of those things. And so it gets us to a place where we be conducive to the mindset that it's okay what we're doing. We're comfortable. I'm gaining. I got more. I'm putting more money in my account, and we'll lose sight of our purpose and why we are here. Read verse 15. Read 14 again, please.
Yes, sir. Verse 14.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas ye know not what shall be on the morrow.
So if we saying if the Lord will it, it's our will. We have to say that we know that the Lord will that we get our minds right, that we sit there and we repent here, that we get ourselves to a place where we build our family, we build our nation. That's the Lord will. You have to pray. You want the will of God to be upon you. Read on.
For what is your life? It is even a vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanisheth away.
I'm gonna tell you right now, you don't have a lot of time here. I'm telling you, they brought us here, they enslaved us, and before you know it, the people are here, and next you know that they're gone. They're going on. We're standing over, man, and with the pollution that's here, and they're putting people, literally people are leaving off the earth, or being deleted off the earth. It's just at mass numbers, and I think that a lot of times we don't even know the amount of people that's actually, missing. I actually heard my wife had told me a story about a young lady that we knew back in the day, and she said that she was, she heard she was, and it was weeks after she had passed. We was like, wow, didn't even know it. And people are just leaving off the earth. So it is important that we do the will of God. So give me Job chapter 1. Let us read, start at verse 13. Job 1 and 13.
The book of Job, chapter 1 and verse 13.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a day when his sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house.
Mm-hmm.
And there came a messenger unto Job and said, the oxen were plowing, and the asses feeding beside them. And the Sabeans fell upon them, and took them away. Yea, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another, and said, the fire of God is fallen from heaven, and hath burned up the sheep and the servants, and consumed them. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee.
So the story goes on. Job loses everything. We're aware of this story where Job loses everything, and he does. And that's what I'm saying, is that we have to build up our spirits to where we understand that if we don't have things here, if the society doesn't allow it, if they come against us, meaning that you got to get your mind in a place, you got to develop your spirit where you can sit there and capture the will of God. And it's important that we inherit that thing. And I'm telling you that being here, there's a lot here. There's a lot here. This is a very lustful place. Don't get it twisted here. I'm telling you, there's a lot that pulls on the flesh of a man. And so we have to be mindful that we have to be steadfast in our calling, brethren and sisters. So it's important, Israel. So drop down to 21. We'll make a little haste with it.
Verse 21.
Uh-huh.
And said, Naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord.
Listen to what Job said. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And that's what it was. He wasn't consumed with the cares of the world. And that's what I want to make sure that this point is brought out, because I can see and I know, and it's in and around us. And those things does have a way of pulling on our people. It's nothing wrong with having anything. That's not what we're talking about, Israel. But what we are saying is that don't let those things consume you or begin to take your spirit or carry it away, where you're sitting there thinking it's okay to embellish yourself on certain things. It's totally unwise. It really is. And, I'm telling you, this place right here, it's the evils are multiplied here. It's not going to get no better. It's going to get much, much worse before, I'm telling you. So it's at the stage where it is, it's not done yet. So you read that? That's all that, Officer Larkin?
Yes, sir. That was 21.
Okay, all right. Let's go to Timothy. Let's see what Timothy said about it. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 7.
1 Timothy.
Chapter 6, verse 6.
Verse 6. But godliness with contentment is great gain.
That's what we want to understand, Israel, that we're in a position that if we're doing the will of God, then at that point, then the things that we are able to obtain, it's going to be a great gain, because you've been content. You've been not moved. Job said, blessed be the name of the Lord. That's what you want. You get to a point where if something comes or something goes, and then you yourself are moved and you, what you have is based on how you conduct yourself. We can't move like that, because that's what Job was telling us, that listen, you can have something today, and who would say, blessed be the name of the Lord, when you lose your child. Oftentimes that prayer don't go up. At least I don't hear a lot of them. But we know that Job said, blessed be the name of the Lord. He lost a lot. He lost his children. They're wicked, but he lost them. But he said, hey, blessed be the name of the Lord. I'm down with the Lord. And that's where we have to be. It's a mindset. You have to develop it. It ain't for the faint of heart. It's really not. It's really not. So read 1 Timothy 6 and 6. Read that.
Yes, sir. But godliness with contentment is great gain.
Read on.
For we brought nothing into this world.
That's what Job was basically talking about. Man, listen, I didn't have this stuff when I got here anyway. He said, man, I came naked. I didn't have nothing. So what the Most High gave me, I was good. I was fine with it. But if he decided to take away, I'm going to be fine with that too. If you're going to be here in this country, you're going to be in imprisonment, you're going to be in captivity, you're going to have to understand that you're going to have to be content too with the great gain that God has given us. Don't measure yourself by what this place has. I'm telling you, this place is going to get judged. I'm telling you. Be careful, Israel. Let's be mindful that we don't find ourselves being pulled away in these doctrines. I'm telling you. We have to be mindful. I'm not talking in of the self of the Bible, but I'm talking about the cares of the world. We're going to talk about that a little bit too. So read on.
For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. And having food and raiment.
What?
Food and raiment.
What?
Food and raiment.
Listen, wait. When you really look at it, Israel, you want this is how things going to get here. Let me just talk about it just for a second. I want to kind of get your thought in the right direction. I think what was the cap about the eggs? They was like $3 a carton.
How they skyrocketed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inflation of the eggs. I actually seen a guy talk about that. Yeah. I saw to use him. It kind of show, but he said inflation of the eggs.
Right.
It went. I think they like $9, $10 or something like that.
Yeah, some places like 14, 15.
And so if it get to the place, how things is going to go, it's going to be rough on a lot of people. So I'm basically saying what the Bible is saying. Read it again, Officer Larkin.
For we brought nothing, verse 8, and having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts.
That's what this place does to us. And we was kind of lining a couple of people up, not in Israel, just worldly folks. But they accepted the cares of this world. They accepted that they decide they want to be a real like a well-known person here in America, right? So in that it comes worldly riches come with that, you know, and they themselves have, you know, oftentimes they forsake their people to get these worldly gains, and that does happen. Is that verse 10?
Yeah, that was verse 9.
All right, verse 10. Stop there.
Yes, sir. I'll read the rest of verse 9.
Okay.
Hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. For the love of money is the root of all evil.
When we talk about the love of money, and we'll hear it say the love of money, but what it does, what we neglect sometimes is that it's not all. It's the love of money goes into a lot of factors. You know what I'm saying? It can be the love of power. You know what I mean? It could be the love of status. It's not all rooted. I know it says love of money. It's talking about it, but it's other things that people can be pulled into that won't, you know, the money is the gain that they'll get, but there's other things that they want for themselves personally. You know, like a singer, she goes out there and stuff like that. She loves to hear the crowd. She's making great money. She's making $15 million a show, so she's making great money. It's just the fact that when she got there, she loved the crowd screaming at her, pulling on her, reaching out to her, want to touch her. That's what she loved. That's a part of that there's a flesh part of it that pulls on our people too, like that. And so that's what you'll have.